Captain Jake Morrison stood on the bridge of his ship, the horizon, watching the stars through the wide window. He had been in space for 10 years, but the view never got old. Today felt different, though. Today, everything was going to change. The communication screen lit up with an incoming message. Jake pressed the button and saw the face of High Arbitrator Veltar, a tall alien with blue skin and 4 arms. The Centauri leader looked angry. "Captain Morrison," Veltar said in his deep voice, "you have caused enough trouble. The Federation Council has made its decision." Jake crossed his arms. "What decision?" "Humanity is expelled from Federation space. You have 30 days to leave." The words hit Jake like a punch to the stomach. He had been expecting trouble after the incident with the Korthic Empire, but not this. Not complete expulsion from the galaxy's most powerful alliance. "You cannot be serious," Jake said. "We are very serious. Your species has caused 3 diplomatic incidents in just 5 years. The trade dispute with the Zephyrians cost billions of credits. And now you refuse to give the ancient artifacts to the Korthic Empire." Jake's jaw tightened. "Those artifacts belong in a museum where everyone can study them, not in some rich collector's private vault." "That is not your decision to make," Veltar replied. "The Korthic Empire has legal claim to those artifacts. They were found in their territory." "Legal claim," Jake repeated. "You mean they want to lock away 1,000-year-old technology so nobody else can learn from it?" Veltar's 4 arms moved in what Jake had learned was a gesture of frustration. "This is exactly the problem with your species. You question everything. You do not respect authority. You cause chaos wherever you go." "We ask questions because we want to understand," Jake said. "We do not bow down just because someone tells us to, and that is why you must leave." The screen went dark. Jake stared at the blank display for a long moment. Then he turned to his crew. They were all humans, all looking at him with worried faces. "Sir," said Lieutenant Carroll Stevens, his second in command. "What do we do now?" Jake looked around the bridge. These people trusted him. They had followed him across the galaxy, exploring new worlds and making first contact with alien species. Now they were all being kicked out because humanity would not play by the Federation's rules. "We go home," Jake said. "We tell Earth what happened." The journey back to Earth took 3 weeks. During that time, Jake sent messages to every human ship in Federation space. The response was always the same: shock, anger, and defiance. Captain Ron Bailey of the UES Columbia was the most direct. "They think they can just throw us out like garbage," Bailey said during a video call. "Well, they are wrong. We will show them what humans can do when we are pushed too far." When Jake arrived at Earth, he went straight to the Federation Embassy. Ambassador Lisa Rodriguez was waiting for him in her office. She looked tired and stressed. "Jake," she said, standing up from behind her desk, "I heard what happened." "I am sorry. Is there nothing we can do?" Jake asked. Lisa shook her head. "I have been fighting this for weeks. The vote was unanimous. Every major species in the Federation voted to expel us. The Korthak, the Zephyrians, the Nexari, even the Vorthan who usually stay neutral. Why do they hate us so much?" "They do not hate us," Lisa said. "They fear us. In 50 years, we went from not knowing aliens existed to joining their Federation. In another 50 years, we develop technology that rivals theirs. We explore places they are afraid to go. We ask questions they do not want to answer." Jake sat down in the chair across from her desk. "So what happens now?" "Now we pack up?" "Leave," Lisa said. "The Federation is giving us passage to the Outer Rim territories. The worlds they consider too dangerous or worthless to colonize." "The Outer Rim," Jake repeated. "Ice worlds, desert planets, places where nothing grows." "Yes, but Jake, maybe that is not such a bad thing. Maybe we need to be on our own for a while. Maybe we need to prove to ourselves what we can do without their help." Jake stood up and walked to the window. He could see the Federation Embassy building across the street. Aliens of different species walked in and out, conducting their business. Soon, humans would not be welcome there anymore. "They think we will fail," Jake said. "Probably," Lisa agreed. "They think we will give up and Come crawling back. Maybe, Jake turned around. Then they do not know humans very well. The next month was chaos. Every human ship in Federation space had to return to Earth or the Outer Rim colonies. Scientists packed up their research. Diplomats closed their offices. Trade agreements were canceled. Families were separated as some chose to stay in Federation. Space under alien protection while others left with the human fleet. Captain Amy Foster, commander of the exploration vessel New Frontier, was one of the last to leave. She had spent years mapping unknown sectors of space, discovering new worlds and making contact with isolated alien species. Now she was being forced to abandon her work. "This is not over," she told her crew as they prepared to leave Federation. "Space, we will be back. And when we return, we will be stronger than ever." The human fleet was massive. Hundreds of ships of all sizes, from tiny research vessels to huge cargo haulers. They moved slowly toward the Outer Rim, carrying everything humanity had built in Federation space. As they crossed the boundary into the Outer Rim territories, Jake looked back one last time at the civilized galaxy. The Federation thought they were getting rid of a problem. They thought they were restoring order and peace. They had no idea what they had just done. They had taken a species that thrived on challenge and given them the biggest challenge of all, survival in the harshest regions of space. They had taken a people who grew stronger when pushed them as hard as they could. The Federation would regret this decision. Jake was sure of it. But first, humanity had to prove they could survive on their own. They had to show the galaxy that being expelled was not the end of their story. It was just the beginning. 20 years had passed since the human fleet left Federation space. The galaxy had moved on. Trade routes ran smoothly between alien worlds. The Galactic Federation continued its meetings in the great halls of Centauri Prime. Peace and order ruled the civilized worlds. High Arbitrator Veltar rarely thought about the humans anymore. When he did, he assumed they had either died out in the harsh Outer Rim or learned to live quietly on whatever worlds they could find. The Federation had bigger problems to worry about now. The Nexari crystal mines were running low. These crystals powered most of the Federation's technology, from starships to communication networks. The Nexari engineers said they might have enough crystals for another 50 years, but no one was sure. The Zephyrian trade routes were also having problems. Pirates attacked cargo ships every few months. The pirates seemed to know exactly when and where the valuable shipments would be traveling. Some Federation officials suspected the pirates had inside information, but they could never prove it. Most troubling of all, Federation survey teams kept disappearing. In the past 5 years, 7 exploration ships had vanished while studying the Outer Rim territories. The ships sent distress signals, then nothing. When rescue teams arrived, they found no trace of the missing vessels. Admiral Korthak Vex, the Federation's top military commander, had theories about the missing ships. "Something is out there," he told the Council. "Something that can destroy our most advanced vessels without a trace." But the Council was not worried. The Outer Rim was dangerous. Everyone knew that. Space was full of black holes, radiation storms, and hostile aliens. The missing ships were just bad luck. Meanwhile, in the Outer Rim, something incredible was happening. The humans were not just surviving. They were thriving in ways that would have shocked the Federation leaders on the ice world of Titan's Rest. Dr. Helen Carter worked in her laboratory deep beneath the frozen surface. The temperature outside was minus 200 degrees. The wind could strip the skin from a person in seconds. But Helen had learned to love this world. "The cold is not our enemy," she told her research team. "It is our teacher." Helen had spent 15 years studying how to generate power from extreme cold. Her cold fusion reactors could produce more energy than any Federation power plant. The ice world that the Federation had called worthless was now the most advanced energy research center in human space on the desert planet of New Sahara. Engineer Sam Mitchell faced different challenges. The daytime temperature reached 300 degrees. Sandstorms could last for weeks. The air was so dry that exposed skin would crack and bleed in minutes, but Sam had learned to work with the desert instead of against it. His atmospheric processors could turn the planet's harsh environment into a source of power. The same sandstorms that made life difficult also generated massive amounts of static electricity that Sam's machines could capture and store. The Federation looks at this world and sees death, Sam told his team as they watched another sandstorm approach. We look at it and see opportunity. The volcanic world of Forge was home to the most advanced metallurgy operation in the galaxy. The constant eruptions and lava flows had driven away every previous attempt at colonization, but humans had learned to use the planet's volcanic activity to create new types of metal that were stronger and lighter than anything the Federation had ever seen. Captain Amy Foster, now Admiral of the Outer Rim Fleet, visited each of the human colonies regularly. She watched with pride as her people turned impossible worlds into thriving communities. The Federation gave us these worlds because they thought we would fail, Amy said during a meeting of colony leaders. They thought the harsh conditions would break us. They were wrong. These worlds have made us stronger. The humans had learned to think differently about survival. Instead of trying to change hostile environments to suit them, they changed themselves to work with the environments. They developed new technologies, new ways of living, new ways of working together, but the greatest change was not in their technology. It was in their society. Cut off from the Federation's rules and restrictions, humans had developed something the galaxy had not seen in thousands of years: true cooperation on Federation worlds. Each species looked out for itself. Trade agreements were written to benefit one side more than the other. Scientific research was kept secret to maintain competitive advantages. Even within species, different planets competed for resources and political power. Human colonies shared everything. When Dr. Helen Carter developed her cold fusion technology, she immediately shared the plans with every other human world. When Sam Mitchell created his atmospheric processors, he sent the blueprints to colonies that could use them. Dr. Carol Stevens, now Director of Terraforming Operations, coordinated the sharing of knowledge between all human worlds. We are not competing with each other, she explained to a group of new colonists. We are all working toward the same goal, making humanity stronger. This cooperation allowed humans to accomplish things that seemed impossible. Projects that would have taken the Federation decades to complete were finished by humans in just a few years. New colonies were established and made self-sufficient in record time. The humans also did something else that surprised even themselves. They began to help other species who had been rejected by the Federation. Small groups of aliens who were considered too primitive or too dangerous found welcome on human worlds. The Corvani were a warrior species that the Federation had rejected for being too violent. Humans welcomed them and put their fighting skills to use as security forces and exploration teams. The Eutheri were plant-based beings that the Federation said were too alien to understand. Humans worked with them to develop new agricultural techniques that could work on any world. The Federation judges others by their own standards, said President Jack Collins, humanity's elected leader. We judge them by their potential. But the humans were careful to keep their achievements secret. They knew that if the Federation learned how well they were doing, there would be trouble. So they kept their communications limited and their technology hidden. When Federation survey teams came close to human space, they were quietly redirected away from the most advanced colonies. The humans made sure that anyone who saw them would think they were just barely surviving on harsh worlds. Admiral Amy Foster understood the importance of secrecy. We are not ready for the Federation to know about us yet, she told her fleet. Commanders, when that day comes, we will be the ones to choose it. The Federation continued to believe that expelling the humans had been the right decision. They thought the problem had been solved. They had no idea that in the harsh worlds of the Outer Rim, humanity was becoming something new, something that would change the galaxy forever. Commander Zixtal stood on the bridge of the Sovereign's Pride, the Federation's most advanced exploration vessel. The massive ship was twice the size of any human vessel from 20 years ago. Its weapons could destroy a small moon. Its shields could withstand the blast of a star-going supernova. Zixtal was proud to command such a ship. The Korthak had built it to show the galaxy their superior technology. Now it was being used to investigate strange energy readings from the Outer Rim territories. "Sir," called Lieutenant Vexstar from the sensor station, "we are detecting massive energy signatures ahead. The readings are off the scale." Zixtal moved to look at the displays. The energy patterns were unlike anything in the Federation database. They were powerful, complex, and definitely artificial. "Could they be natural phenomena?" Zixtal asked. "No, sir. These are clearly from some kind of advanced technology. But the patterns are not familiar." Zixtal felt a chill run down his spine. The Outer Rim was supposed to be empty except for the exiled humans. But humans 20 years ago had primitive technology. They could not create energy signatures like this. "Maybe some unknown alien species has moved into the area," Zixtal said. "Prepare the ship for first contact protocols." The Sovereign's Pride moved forward cautiously. As they got closer to the energy source, the readings became even more confusing. There were dozens of ships ahead, but they barely showed up on the sensors. It was as if they were designed to be nearly invisible. "Sir," Vexstar called out in alarm, "we have contacts. Multiple vessels surrounding us." Zixtal looked at the main screen. At first, he saw nothing but empty space. Then, slowly, like ghosts, materializing from the void, ships began to appear. They were sleek and beautiful, with hulls that seemed to bend light around them. They moved with impossible grace, sliding through space without any visible means of propulsion. "How many?" Zixtal asked. 12 ships, sir." "No, wait, 15. The count keeps changing. They are using some kind of stealth technology." Zixtal had never seen anything like it. The ships were clearly advanced, but their design was strange. They did not look like any known Federation or alien technology. "Sir, we are receiving a communication. Put it on screen." The face that appeared on the main display was human. The man looked to be in his 50s, with gray hair and calm eyes. He wore a uniform that Zixtal did not recognize. "This is Admiral Danny Wright of the human vessel Defiance," the man said. "You are in human space. State your business here." Zixtal stared at the screen in shock. Human space? The humans had been expelled 20 years ago. They were supposed to be barely surviving on worthless worlds? "I am Commander Zixtal of the Galactic Federation vessel Sovereign's Pride," he said. "This territory is not claimed by any Federation member. We are conducting a scientific survey." Admiral Wright's expression did not change. "The Federation expelled humanity from their space 20 years ago. We found our own space. This system and 50 others in this sector are now under human control?" "That is impossible," Zixtal said. "The Federation has territorial claims dating back thousands of years. You cannot simply declare space to be yours." "We are not declaring it," Wright replied. "We are stating a fact. This is human space. You're not welcome here." Zixtal felt his anger rising. He commanded the most powerful ship in the Federation fleet. He would not be threatened by exiled humans in their primitive vessels. "You forget yourself," Zixtal said. "The Federation has the right to explore any territory not claimed by a member species. Since humans are not Federation members, you have no legal standing to exclude us." "Legal standing," Wright repeated. "The same legal standing you used to. Expel us from your space? That was different. You were causing problems. The Council voted unanimously. And now we vote unanimously to exclude you from our space." Zixtal had heard enough. "You are in violation of galactic law. Stand down immediately or face the consequences." Wright's calm expression never changed. "Commander, I suggest you leave peacefully. This is your only warning." "Warning?" Zixtal laughed. "You threaten me with your tiny ships? The Sovereign's Pride alone outguns your entire fleet?" "I hope you do not test that assumption," Wright said. Zixtal cut the communication and turned to his weapons officer. "Charge the main guns. Target the largest human vessel." "Sir, are you sure? We are greatly outnumbered." "By humans and outdated ships. One shot from our main cannon will destroy their flagship. The rest will run. Weapons charged and ready, sir. Fire! The massive energy beam shot out from the Sovereign's Pride toward the human flagship. But something impossible happened. The beam simply stopped in space as if it had hit an invisible wall. The energy dissipated harmlessly. What happened? Zixtel demanded. Sir, our weapons fire was absorbed by some kind of energy field. The human ships are protected by technology we do not understand. Before Zixtel could respond, every system on the Sovereign's Pride went dark. The lights went out. The engines stopped. The artificial gravity failed, leaving the crew floating in the darkness. Emergency power kicked in a few seconds later, but the damage was done. The ship's main computer was completely offline. The weapon systems were dead. Even the communications were barely working. Sir, Vextar called out in panic. All our systems have been shut down. We are completely defenseless. Zixtel stared at the main screen, which now showed only static. The human ships were still there, still surrounding them, still beautiful and deadly. But now he understood that they were not outdated at all. They were more advanced than anything the Federation had ever built. A new communication came in, audio only. Admiral Wright's voice was calm and professional. Commander Zixtel, your ship has been disabled but not destroyed. Your crew is safe. We are sending a supply ship with food, water, and parts to repair your basic systems. You will be escorted to the edge of human space. Why? Zixtel asked. Why not destroy us? Because we are not your enemy, Wright replied. We want to be left alone. That is all we have ever wanted. The next few hours were the most humbling of Zixtel's life. The human supply ship was smaller than a Federation shuttle, but it docked with the Sovereign's Pride as if the massive warship were standing still. Human technicians came aboard and worked with his crew to restore basic systems. Captain Pete Harrison, the human officer in charge of the repair team, was polite and professional. We have given you enough power to reach the nearest Federation outpost, he said. We have also uploaded a message for your High Arbitrator. What message? Zixtel asked. That humanity bears no ill will toward the Federation. We have found our place in the galaxy. We ask only to be left alone to pursue our own destiny among the stars. As the Sovereign's Pride limped away from human space, Zixtel thought about what had happened. The humans had not acted like conquerors. They had not gloated over their victory. They had simply defended their territory and sent him home with a message, but the message was clear. The humans were no longer the primitive species that had been expelled from Federation space. They had become something new, something powerful, something that the Federation would have to deal with, whether they wanted to or not. The galaxy was about to change, and Zixtel was not sure if the Federation was ready for it. High Arbitrator Veltar read the message from Commander Zixtel 3 times. Each time he became more angry. The humans had disabled the Federation's most advanced warship. They had made demands. They had claimed territory that rightfully belonged to the Federation. This is unacceptable, Veltar said to the Council. We expelled the humans to maintain order. Now they return as a threat to our security. Admiral Korthak Vex, the Federation's supreme military commander, agreed. The humans have clearly developed dangerous technology. We cannot allow them to challenge Federation authority. But they let our ship go, said Councillor Ytharo of the Vorthan. They could have destroyed it. Instead, they repaired it and sent it home with a peaceful message? A message that claimed our territory, Veltar replied. They are testing us. If we do nothing, other species will think the Federation is weak. The debate went on for hours. Finally, Veltar made the decision that would change everything. We will send a survey expedition to assess the human situation, he announced. If they pose a threat to Federation security, we will deal with them. Admiral Vex was given command of the largest fleet the Federation had assembled in 50 years. 67 warships, including the legendary Korthik dreadnought Worldender, would cross into human space. The message would be clear: the Federation would not be challenged, but when the massive fleet reached human space, they found something that no one had expected. The humans had not just survived in the Outer Rim. They have built a civilization. That made the Federation worlds look primitive. The fleet's first stop was at the edge of a system the humans called New Geneva. Admiral Vex stood on the bridge of the World Ender, looking at the sensor readings in disbelief. "Sir," called his science officer, "the energy output from this system is beyond anything we have ever recorded. It is like they have harnessed the power of their entire star." "Show me," Vex ordered. The main screen displayed the human capital world. It was beautiful beyond description. The planet glowed with soft light, its cities reaching toward the stars while massive structures extended. Deep into the planet's core, gardens and parks covered every surface, and the air itself seemed to sparkle with energy. "How is this possible?" Vex whispered, "Double quote, sir, we are receiving a transmission from the planet." A human woman appeared on the screen. She was middle-aged, with kind eyes and a confident smile. She wore simple clothes, but there was something about her that commanded respect. "Welcome to New Geneva," she said. "I am President Jack Collins. We have been expecting you." "I am Admiral Korthak Vex of the Galactic Federation," he replied. "By order of the High Arbitrator, you will submit to Federation authority." President Collins tilted her head. "I am afraid that is not possible, Admiral. We are no longer part of the Federation. We were expelled, remember? That decision can be reversed if you prove yourselves worthy," Vex said. "But first, you must submit to our authority and share your technology." "Our technology?" Collins asked. "What makes you think we have anything you would want?" Vex gestured at the screen showing the beautiful planet. "Your energy systems alone are beyond anything the Federation possesses. Your ships defeated our most advanced vessel. You will share this technology with us." Collins was quiet for a moment. Then she smiled. "Admiral, would you like to visit our world? I think you need to see what we have built." An hour later, Admiral Vex found himself in a shuttle heading toward the planet's surface. He had brought a full security team and enough weapons to level a city block. But as they descended through the atmosphere, he began to realize that weapons would be useless here. The cities were impossibly advanced. Buildings that looked like they were made of crystal and light stretched toward the sky. Transportation moved through the air without any visible means of support. The people on the streets looked healthy and happy, going about their daily lives without fear. President Collins met them at the landing pad. She was alone, with no security team, no weapons, no sign of fear. "Welcome to New Geneva," she said. "I hope you will find your visit educational." The tour that followed was the most shocking experience of Vex's life. The humans had not just developed advanced technology. They had created a completely different way of living. Dr. Carol Stevens, the director of terraforming operations, showed them how they had transformed the harsh worlds of the Outer Rim into garden paradises. "We learned to work with nature instead of against it," she explained. "Every world is different, so we develop different solutions for each one." Engineer Sam Mitchell demonstrated atmospheric processors that could change the climate of an entire planet in just a few years. "The Federation looks at a hostile world and sees an enemy to defeat," he said. "We look at it and see a partner to work with." Dr. Helen Carter explained the cold fusion reactors that powered human civilization. "We do not take energy from the environment," she said. "We work with the environment to create energy together." But the most shocking revelation came when they visited the human research centers. Scientists from dozens of different species worked alongside humans, sharing knowledge and developing new technologies together. "These are the species the Federation rejected," Collins explained. "The ones you called too primitive or too dangerous. We call them partners." Admiral Vex saw Corvani warriors working as security guards, their natural aggression channeled into protecting researchers. He saw Yadari plant beings developing new agricultural techniques that could work on any world. He saw species he had never heard of, all working together toward common goals. "How do you control them?" Vex asked. "Control them?" Collins looked confused. "We do not control them. We work with them. We share our knowledge and they share theirs. Everyone benefits." "But how do you prevent conflict? How do you maintain order? We do not have to maintain order, Colin said. When everyone benefits from cooperation, there is no need for conflict. The final stop on the tour was the most impressive of all. The humans had built a massive space station in orbit around their planet. It was larger than any Federation facility, but it was not a military base. It was a research center where scientists from across the galaxy worked together on projects that would benefit everyone. This is what we have built, Colin said as they stood in the observation deck, looking out at the stars. A civilization based on cooperation instead of competition, on sharing instead of hoarding, on questions instead of blind obedience. Admiral Vex stared out at the impossible sight. The space station was beautiful, but more than that, it was alive with activity. Ships came and went constantly, carrying people and supplies and knowledge between worlds. The Federation expelled us because we asked too many questions, Collins continued. Because we would not accept things just because they had always been done that way. You thought that was a weakness. We have learned it is our greatest strength. But your military power, Vex said, your weapons technology. We have no weapons, Collins replied. What you saw was defensive technology. We protect ourselves, but we do not attack others. We learned long ago that cooperation is more powerful than conquest. As Admiral Vex returned to his ship, his mind was spinning with everything he had seen. The humans had not just survived their expulsion from the Federation. They had used it as an opportunity to build something better than anything the Federation had ever created, but the most shocking realization came when President Collins sent him a final message. Admiral, I know why you are here. The Federation is facing problems it cannot solve. Resource depletion, internal conflicts, challenges that your rigid systems cannot handle. We are prepared to help, not as subjects or subordinates, but as equals. The question is whether the Federation is ready to accept help from those it once rejected. As the massive Federation fleet prepared to return home, Admiral Vex realized that everything had changed. The humans were no longer a problem to be solved. They were a solution to problems the Federation did not even know it had. The galaxy would never be the same. Admiral Korthak Vex stood before the Federation Council, his report complete. The silence in the great chamber was deafening. Every council member stared at him as if he had lost his mind. High Arbitrator Veltar was the first to speak. You are telling us that the humans we expelled as primitive troublemakers now possess technology superior to our own. Yes, sir, Vex replied. Not just superior, completely beyond anything we have ever seen. And they offered to help us? Asked Counselor Yuthara. They did, but not as subjects, as equals. Veltar's 4 arms moved in anger. Equals, we are the elder races. We have ruled the galaxy for thousands of years. We do not need help from species we expelled for causing problems. With respect, sir, Vex said carefully, perhaps we do need their help. Our crystal minds are failing. Our trade routes are under attack. We have problems we cannot solve with our current methods. The debate that followed split the Federation down the middle. The Korthak military wanted to attack immediately, before humanity became even stronger. The Zephyrian merchants were interested in human technology but wanted to control it. The Nexari were curious about human science, but feared losing their position as the galaxy's premier researchers, while the Federation argued humanity continued to grow. More worlds joined the human sphere every month. Not just human colonies, but alien worlds that had grown tired of Federation, bureaucracy, and rigid rules. The crisis that changed everything began 3 months later. The Nexari homeworld, the source of the crystals that powered Federation technology, faced complete disaster. The crystal matrices that had grown for millions of years were collapsing. The planet's entire ecosystem was dying. The Federation's best scientists declared the situation hopeless. The Nexari had perhaps 6 months before their world became uninhabitable. Billions of lives were at stake. That was when Dr. Roy Peterson arrived. The human scientist was middle-aged and quiet, with gentle eyes and a calm manner. He came alone in a small ship, carrying nothing but a briefcase full of research data. I believe we can help, he told the Nexari Council. But we will need to work together. Dr. Ziethril, the Nexari's chief scientist, was desperate enough to listen. Our crystals have been growing for millions of years. Nothing can restore them. Once they collapse. Nothing using traditional methods, Dr. Peterson agreed. But we have developed new techniques that combine your harmonic resonance technology with our plasma energy systems. The process that followed was unlike anything the galaxy had ever seen. Human and Nexari scientists worked side by side, sharing knowledge that their species had guarded for centuries. Dr. Peterson showed the Nexari how to use controlled plasma fields to stimulate crystal growth. The Nexari taught the humans how to use harmonic frequencies to guide the growth process. In just 2 weeks, they had created the first new crystal matrix in Nexari history. It was not just functional, it was more powerful and stable than anything that had existed before. The news spread across the galaxy like wildfire. The humans had saved the Nexari homeworld using technology that neither species could have developed alone. It was the first time in galactic history that such cooperation had produced such dramatic results within days. Delegations from dozens of Federation worlds were requesting human assistance. The humans, led by Secretary of Galactic Affairs, Lavra Kim, responded with enthusiasm, but also with conditions that made Federation leaders uncomfortable. We will help, Lavra told each delegation. But we work as partners, not as hired technicians. We share our knowledge and you share yours. Everyone benefits equally. The human agricultural specialists who increased crop yields on Zephyrian colonies also questioned why the profits went to governors instead of farmers. Human engineers who built better mining equipment also asked why workers were paid so little for such dangerous jobs. Human doctors who cured diseases also wondered why medical treatment cost so much that many people could not afford it. They are changing everything, complained Governor Vexcari of the Zephyrian Trade Council. Our workers are starting to ask questions we do not want to answer. But the results were impossible to ignore. Worlds that worked with humans saw dramatic improvements in every area. Food production increased. Disease rates dropped. Energy costs fell. People lived better lives. The final confrontation came when High Arbitrator Veltar demanded that humanity accept what he called a junior partnership in the Federation. They would be allowed to rejoin, but only if they acknowledged the authority of the elder races and stopped encouraging change on other worlds. President Jack Collins' response was delivered at a gathering that included representatives from every major species in the galaxy. The meeting was held on New Geneva, and the Federation delegates were shocked by what they saw. The human capital had grown even more beautiful in the months since Admiral Vex's visit, but more importantly, it was now home to representatives from hundreds of different species, all working together on projects that would benefit everyone. 20 years ago, you told us we did not belong in your galaxy, Collins said to the assembled delegates. You were right. We belonged in our own galaxy, one where progress is not limited by tradition, where questions are welcomed rather than feared, and where the measure of a civilization is not how long it has existed, but how much it has grown. Veltar stood up angrily. You cannot simply reject the wisdom of thousands of years. The Federation has maintained peace and order across the galaxy, has it? Collins asked. Your people are suffering from resource shortages while technology that could solve those problems is kept secret for competitive advantage. Your workers live in poverty while their bosses become rich from their labor. Your young people cannot pursue their dreams because the old ways must be preserved. The old ways work, Veltar insisted. For some, Collins agreed, but not for everyone. We invite you to join us in building something better. A galaxy where everyone has the chance to reach their potential. The response was immediate and dramatic. Half the Federation delegates walked out with Veltar, declaring that they would have nothing to do with human corruption of galactic order. The other half remained, asking how they could join what the humans were building. In the months that followed, the galaxy split along philosophical lines. The traditional Federation, led by Veltar and the Korthik military, clung to the old ways. They maintained their rigid hierarchies, their trade restrictions, and their military superiority, the Cooperative Republic, led jointly by humans and the species that had joined them, took a different path. They shared technology freely, made decisions by consensus rather than authority, and measured success by how much everyone benefited rather than how much the leaders gained. The competition between the two systems was not military. It was practical. Worlds in the Cooperative Republic prospered while traditional Federation worlds struggled with the same old problems. Young people from Federation worlds emigrated to Cooperative worlds seeking opportunities they could not find at home. Admiral Amy Foster, now Grand Admiral of the Cooperative Republic Fleet, stood on the bridge of her flagship as a joint human-Nexari expedition prepared to launch toward the galactic core. It was the most ambitious exploration mission in galactic history, made possible by technology that no single species could have developed alone. "They wanted us to learn our place in the galaxy," Amy said to her crew as they watched the expedition ships disappear into hyperspace. "They never imagined we would teach the galaxy to find its place in the universe." The human expulsion from the Federation had not been an ending, it had been a beginning. A beginning of something the galaxy had never seen before, a civilization based on cooperation instead of competition, on shared prosperity instead of hoarded wealth, on questions instead of blind obedience. The humans had been forced to leave. But in leaving, they had shown the galaxy a better way to live. And now, as their ships explored regions of space that the Federation had never dared to investigate, as their scientists made discoveries that challenged fundamental assumptions about the universe, the galaxy's elder races faced a question they had never had to ask before. What happens when the students become the teachers? The answer was still being written among the stars.